Assalamu alaikum. We are back with Sheetal Cross, and we are talking about a real great woman, Dr. Nirvadha Singh, who has 1.3 million followers on social media. And at one time, she had more people following her than Trevor Noah. And that is a rare distinction. You said that she was an ambassador for India as well as South Africa. What kind of community projects that she's working on?
It was something she did in 2013. She was part of a medical program, and she went over there and she was talking to a lot of medical, medical trends and things at that time. But at the moment, I'm not sure that she's still doing that internationally. But I know locally she's involved with a lot of community work. She's very much into sort of like awareness around key issues, health issues. She's very much involved in women empowerment as well. And she's recently started doing her own movie production as well, over and above doing the medical side and being an author and being a mom and, having the business side of things. She's also taken on the role of actress. And I know that she had studied with a local studio where the lady that does the teaching comes from America, comes from California, and who's been involved very much with Hollywood type productions over there. And so Nirvadha now is obviously in the realm of doing, she's working on two projects, and unfortunately we can't give away.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but I do know the one is a murder mystery, and the other is a medical drama. So.
But what is it that she says that makes so many friends?
I think that she's just involved with, she's always just had a very big presence in general through her work and through her travel and
She
through.
must be saying something special.
Maybe she's giving her biryani recipes away. Who knows? I tell you what. Why don't I ask her if she'd like to come and chat to you in person, and then you can sort of like needle her.
Talk, but I'm fascinated that she's got. I haven't met anybody personally.
Who's got
1.5 million people on social media. I mean, this is the kind of friend I'd like to have.
Well, I tell you this much. She posted a picture. I did a story on the local production and speaking to the production team and the director and stuff, because they were using quite a famous director. It was his directorial debut, but he had been an executive producer on a lot of local and international movies that had done very well. And that's what the story was about at the time. And I wasn't brand managing her at that time either, so it's not like there was any bias or concern for what I had written. And it was funny because I'd just taken a selfie, and she posted it. And within 2 days, I got like 32,000 likes on Facebook.
That was you and her together.
Just a random photo that I took as a.
That's what I mean. You see, that's the kind of friend I need.
Well, I'll introduce you, and then maybe you can chat to her and find out a little bit more about her social media secrets.
Well, this is really and truly. And what are you going to be? You're going to be managing her brand?
Well, yes, I think, when we talk about brand management, there's various ways you can do it. And just to be very specific, I don't take on like multiple clients. I'm very, very particular about who I brand manage. And when I talk about brand management, I'm not looking at PR, because as I said, I'm a journalist and I don't want to.
You deal with hard facts.
I deal with hard facts. And what I try to just show my clients is to open up opportunities with mainstream media. If there's an opportunity where, hey, there's no conflict of interest, firstly, there has to be no conflict of interest. And then find very natural ways of connecting people with mainstream media. Like I said, if there's a newsworthy story, if they're appearing somewhere, if they're doing a project, if they're, you know what I mean, and in that way getting them coverage, and also appearances. There's a lot of the time people want a buffer between sort of being called directly to do stuff and then just having somebody who's knowledgeable of how these things work and say, can you guide me, rates and services, or organize or make sure things go well in the day. And that's where I also come in, where I can say, hey, listen, I do have somebody who has a high social media presence. They would, if you are looking for somebody to represent your product or whatever, because she does do similar things, she gets asked all the time to sort of because of her social media following. Because remember, I mean, one post garners like 30,000 in a day or two, and people like that. but it can be also harmful. You know, you can't, if you don't pick your projects correctly, if there's conflict of interest with the product, you end up. And what I'm actually brought on by these people to do is to give them media advice, to consult and say, listen, this is the right way to do things, this is not the right way to do things. Because you could be well known, prominent, or even famous, but you could stuff things up really badly by saying the right thing or the wrong thing, the right thing at the wrong time or the wrong
Like
thing.
Donald Trump.
No, there's no hope for him, unfortunately. Yeah, so.
Okay, is there anybody else that you're going to line up?
At the moment, those are my two people that I'm concentrating on. Like you said earlier, you know, I've just started my own media company, and it's going well, especially with like the seminars and consulting and that sort of thing. So there are a few people who have approached me. I do have access because of my job to a lot of prominent people and sports people and stuff. And I have been approached already by quite a few sportsmen from very big teams to sort of like help them with just give them to consult and give them some media advice and say, hey, this is the right or wrong way to handle what they want to do in terms of the public sphere outside of the actual sport, you know, and just guard against, you know, misrepresenting themselves. So there are a few other people. I haven't quite taken them on just yet because we're in negotiation stages, but yeah, just.
How do you manage all this?
What,
You know,
the master
brand management and these journalism classes and
masters
lectures
and lectures, yeah,
and lectures and children.
motherhood.
Motherhood is very important.
And I cook every single day, by the way.
You cook every single day.
Fresh.
What time you start in the morning?
As early as possible, because I do have a baby who wakes me up throughout the night, you know, for feeds and things. I think that the one thing when I get asked this question, which is I'm asked a lot, there's a couple of things. It's time management. Time management is essential, and if I could leave our listeners with anything today, I would say time management is the way to go if you want to be successful. You can do so much in a day if you know how to maneuver yourself. And the other really good thing is technology. And I really love using technology and time management as a combination. So it's doing things, doing multiple things in the same moment. I recently booked myself into a meeting where I was in 2 meetings simultaneously. Same venue, but 2 meetings simultaneously. And how I handled that was, the purpose of the one meeting was to introduce 2 people and allow them to chat and then come back at the end and then see, you know, if it was a good fit or not and how I could maybe assist them further. And the other meeting, since I wasn't going to be sitting in on that meeting the entire time, was to discuss some products and services I was about to purchase from a new supplier. So I said to them, look, I'm going to be at this place. And then while we were chatting, in between, while that person was on a phone call, pulled up my cell phone, checked my emails, this or that. But when I say time management, it's not just, that's just one extreme example. I don't do that very often. But using my cell phone and bringing my emails in and using WhatsApp and multiple digital apps that, like, I have a tracking app that tracks my movement for my car mileage and my destination. So when I want to do taxes and that sort of thing, it just generates a report. I don't sit and manually do anything. You know, as long as my data is on and my app is active with my mileage on it, I'm just tell it where I'm going and it tracks everything for me. So, you know, I think also with the studies, you know, like, there's a lot of things that don't need everyday attention. And if you manage what needs attention right now and prioritize, there are certain things that need my attention right now, and there are certain things that can wait. And you start to, like, you know, tackle them and use technology. I don't see why people find it so hard to do more than one thing in a day.
Well, you know, I mean, they say that you might be gifted compared to them, but I just want to go back to your seminar because I'm sure some of our listeners might want to attend to your seminar. How do they do that? Where is it?
Okay, so on the 19th of November, it's going to be at the Durban Chamber of Commerce. And
where's that?
The Durban Chamber of Commerce is at the Lion Match Factory on Umgeni Road. So,
all right.
Yeah. And what people can do is that you can get in contact with me directly. You can either go to the website, which is titaniummediasa.co.za, or my personal website, which is sheetalcross.com. I'm going to give out my cell phone number with the hope that I don't get stalked. But you can also contact me directly on 072 030 7659. or you can email me on info@sheetalcross.com. I'm also available on WhatsApp, yeah, that's just...
And the fees?
Well, it's for what we offer for the day, including our manuals and catering and stationery, and it starts from 8 till 4. It's 980 Rand a ticket. But we do offer a discount to Durban Chamber members of 650 Rand. And just because I just really love you so much and the opportunity, we will further discount that rate for Radio Al Ansar listeners. So if you just contact me, especially if you're an NGO, if there's any NGOs out there that would really like assistance in sort of...
What about ordinary people that might want to contact you? Will they get that discount too?
If they're listening and they're a Radio Al Ansar listener, absolutely. Just say that you were listening to this really lovely interview, and we'd love to assist you further.
All right. What I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for us? Now, obviously, the year is ending. Next year is 2019.
Yeah.
It's the year of the big election.
Again, I'm not going to speak to assumption. I'm not going to assume.
No, as a journalist. Just give me your take as a journalist.
Look, I'm always very positive about things. Things have to change. And I don't see how there could ever be a government hiding as much as they were, because at every turn things are being exposed. Too many people have technology in their hands. Too many people have the intention of being fed up of what's going on and wanting to do something. And whether that's standing in the middle of West Street and protesting with sort of a plaque in hand and getting a message across, or it's going onto radio stations and giving their opinion, or just starting up these protests via hashtags on Twitter, people are really fed up of the way things are. So I think things will improve because the government is being forced to listen to the will of the people, and journalists are propelling that message by being factual and by promoting correct and good news.
Yeah, another thing, again, I'm picking your brains as a journalist.
Yeah.
But I'm very keen to hear. This crime has really gone out of control. Ahmad Katrada's brother and nephew were shot dead outside their mosque in Swazirenica last night. Things are really bad. You read the paper, people are taking money to kill other people. And they're openly saying, and to put a hit on somebody seems to become, the norm.
The norm, yeah.
As journalists, how do you feel? How do you feel when you...
I can't speak about other journalists, but I can tell you.
No, we're talking about you.
For me, personally, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted that we live in a world where, people can hurt other people to that extent.
But how did we get there?
It's a very sad journey that we've been on in this country for decades. And it just seems that every time somebody's in power, they have their own agenda. And as long as we're mindful to stay on the path of truth and stay on the path of wanting to always tell the truth or expose the truth, whether you're a journalist or not a journalist. If you see something, say something, If your neighbor's in trouble, you can see there's a problem with children, if you're noticing something out of the ordinary, try and find a way to communicate that to the authorities or to the person that, can be most effective in helping you. I can't tell you how we ever got here because I myself am baffled at some of the things that's coming out in the news these days. But I really hope if there's anybody out there listening that, you just don't lose hope. Because the one thing I've learned in this lifetime is no matter how bad your situation is, there's always somebody who has it worse. And no matter how bad our political and financial environment is in this country, there are other countries that are far more, in a far more detrimental situation. If you look at Zimbabwe and if you look at countries where the children are starving to death. And I know, yes, we have these similar elements and there are these pockets and there are these trends here. And I'm not trying to compare us to other people, but I'm saying that, there's that old saying, I complained about having no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. Right. So I'm saying, yes, there is terrible things happening, and I know a lot of people don't want to be reading the news because they don't want to be saddened. But you can't inoculate yourself against fake news if you're not in the know about the real news that's happening in the world. And you can't protect yourself from all the stuff that's happening if you don't inoculate yourself with the tools to move forward and deal with it,
If you look at the last 100 years,
yeah,
there's been a consistent wave of violence until around about 1970, when things really got out of hand, and there's been a silent civil war in this country,
Yeah.
where people were killing one another because of some political belief. And it just went on, and it hasn't stopped. Political killings has become a way of life.
And again, I mean, I hope that we'll end the show on a far more positive note. I really hope at some point there's a positive question coming after this. But, you know,
I'm
yes,
really concerned
yeah.
because obviously you work in an environment.
No,
Hold on.
it's
You
yeah.
work in an environment where these things come in the spotlight
100%,
day after
yeah.
day after
That's true.
day, and I'm hoping you might give us some insight.
You know, I think that I don't even know how to respond to what's going on in terms of these killings. I mean, I read the other day that there was an attorney, and apparently he used to represent the mobs, and somebody walked up to his car and just fired 2 shots. The one grazed his child. He was dropping his kids off. So while the kids were in the backseat, they obviously witnessed this, and the other one was intended for him, and it killed him. You know, and it hurt me. What hurt me the most wasn't the death of the guy. I mean, that hurt me, yes, but what hurt me more than that, let me clarify, there were 2 children in the car. The senseless killing. There's no such thing as killing with sense, but I mean, and I'm not saying that there's an opportune or could have been a better opportune moment to kill somebody, but if you're gonna stoop that low and take somebody's life, what about those poor children in the back? What are they gonna grow up feeling and enduring for the rest of their lives? It's changing their lives. And that really speaks to a bigger phenomenon. Every bad thing that happens every day, whether it's locally, nationally, continentally, intercontinentally, internationally, every single thing that happens, good or bad, has impact on every one of us. And, you know, if you have consciousness, you choose to either use that in a positive way or react positively or find a way to be better in your own life. And if you don't have the conscious skills and tools, you end up having this rhetoric and this hateful belief that a certain group of people are the only ones that do these things. Or, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And we must guard against falling into that kind of mentality. We can't let the bad guys win. We just can't. Yeah.
You see, the man who pulled the trigger on the lawyer,
Yeah.
told police today that he took a hit. He was paid to kill this man. He said he never knew the man, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He came, he was sent to Cape Town, he was paid half the money. Came to Cape Town, he was shown who the man was. And then, I mean, how cold-blooded can you get?
You know, I'll be honest with you, Mr. Khan. I read a story on a very reputable website about a cannibal who had gotten away with 25 murders recently, this past year. And he only got caught because somebody stole his phone, and when they went through the phone, they saw they saw the pictures of what he had done and that sort of thing. And then he just outright denied it, but then he was waiting to go to trial and that sort of thing. And I just, you know, we're talking about one murder, and there's no comparison. You cannot compare one person's pain to another person's pain. You can't say you got beaten, but oh, I was abused, and so mine is bigger than yours in terms of hurt, etc. But you know, the thing is, there's so much of darkness out there in the world that, like I said, no matter how bad things get, it's always worse somewhere else. You know, and I think as long as, and I'm just going to end it on this note, it's like, as long as we guard ourselves against those things and try to be better people in our own lives. You can't control the world. You can't control other people. You can only control yourself and your own actions. If somebody slaps you, you choose to slap them back or to turn the other cheek. And sometimes, yeah, maybe the better choice is to
turn the other cheek.
Turn the other cheek. And,
okay, what about good news stories now? Have you had many of those recently?
You know what I love? I love that over the last decade, I've gotten to meet so many women in sport. And I know, like in 2016, I was a finalist on the G Sport Awards with Cass Naidu. And it was
How is Cass Naidu? I haven't seen her for many years.
I last saw her in person up in Johannesburg for the awards, but I've been following her on social media, and she seems to be doing very well.
Oh, okay.
And I'm very proud of the efforts she's made to highlight women in sport. And I think that that's some of the positivity that I take away in my job, that I get to do these one-on-one. I also do work for this foundation called the African Dream Foundation, and they've got this amazing publication that's only geared toward enhancing entrepreneurship, and everything that they do is it's informative, it's knowledgeable, it's educational, and they teach you where to get funding and how to get your projects off the ground, and they tell you who's who in the zoo and who's doing what. And when I write stories, like now this past week, on the 24th of October, they had a launch of a financial literacy hub in Chatsworth, and they donated this African Dream Foundation. They've got a website you can go onto if you want to donate to learn more. They donated 30 computers, Dell computers, and they had a flat screen TV, and it's got conference calling abilities. And what they started doing was they're using the Old Mutual app that's called Moneyversity, and they're actually teaching young people how to be financially savvy, but they're giving them the skills and the tools now at high school level to be able to learn how to control their money, save their money, spend their money wisely.
Where is this in Chatsworth?
This is in Chatsworth.
Where about in Chatsworth?
It's the Midlands Technical High School in Chatsworth, actually.
The Midlands
Technical High School that they've just received.
That's in a very tough neighborhood.
It's not too far off. It's not too far from the Hare Krishna temple, actually. So
yeah, that was a very tough neighborhood at one time.
I don't live there, unfortunately.
I used to be a reporter in those days.
Well, the kids were the students, were extremely grateful.
But this is something that's worthwhile highlighting.
But this is what I'm saying, is like, these little nuggets as a journalist, to be able to go out and report on that, or be a part of that, or, sort of just write for the newspaper or write for that paper, and apart from, because I'm a freelance journalist, obviously I'm contracted to different people. I write for the Sunday Tribune, the Post. I also do a lot of online stuff. My personal website, sheetalcross.com, has got about just over 250,000 views for the articles that I put on there as well. So, I just get to write for all these platforms and all these various genres and all of these amazing topics. And then I get to dabble with the sports side and meet these amazing female athletes who have never received any media attention whatsoever. And they're achieving the KZN colors, the national colors. They're going overseas. They're getting picked by other countries. And, that's the gem of our country. And we're not learning as much about them as we should be, or they're not being as highlighted. The other thing, like I said, this... the African Dream Foundation. They're so rooted in teaching young people, and what they're doing is breaking the cycle through education, so that the reason some of them suffer financially is because their fathers and forefathers didn't know how to save, how to invest, and how to be money savvy or financially savvy. And here these guys come along and they implement on those computers with internet access the Moneyversity program, which is free. Anybody can go on and use it, and it teaches you about budgeting, it teaches you about spending, about saving, about investing, and it's very simple short videos as well, so it doesn't take a lot of data or Wi-Fi to listen to it. And then I watch these students interacting, young students, like maybe 14 years old, and they're clicking on things and they're learning, and they're like, wow, I didn't know this, now I know this. And then, this is why it comes back to education. If you learn, the more you learn about things, the more you inoculate yourself against BS,
All right.
And these students are now going to go on and make smarter decisions and change the lives of their children and the generations to come. So when you asked me, a few minutes ago about, what do I feel as a journalist is positive, there's so many organizations in this country that are doing their bit to highlight people that need to be highlighted and help the people that need to be helped. I'm trying to do my bit in helping businesses and people and organizations that need it to understand media so that they can really sort of get into that space and enjoy the benefits of having their personal stories told, as long as it's newsworthy, obviously. And then also just sort of...
It also makes them accountable.
Yes, this is true. That's true.
So that's the rewarding aspect of it.
Absolutely. There's many things to be rewarded.
Is there any story that you've done that really stands out?
What, in a good or bad way?
Good one, please.
There's been so many. I can't think of the one particular, and I wouldn't want to take away from the handfuls that I've done over the years. So I'm not going to be specific. There's been too many, and I really, the fact that I can say that gives me joy, that I've covered more happy stories than sad stories. That just goes to show that
More achievements than failures.
absolutely, absolutely, and I think that it's such a wonderful space to be in. That if you're positive about the world, that's what you attract. And I've been very blessed to not find myself in situations that have been life threatening or detrimental to a point where it's like, oh, I can't do journalism anymore. Oh, can't I don't want to go out there. Or I'm afraid. Yeah.
Okay, in your journalism career, you must have come across many people doing various different things. Is there anybody that stands out?
Jeez, it's just again, so many to pick from. When I think about Cass Naidu and how she is female, she's Indian. She started, commenting on cricket. She's on one of the.
She was working with me on the Daily News.
Yes, yes.
And the evening before,
excuse me.
she was in a very angry mood and said she's headed to Durban. She's packing up and leaving. And I said, "Where are you going to?" "Going to Johannesburg." I said, "What you going to do?" She says, "I don't know."
Well,
and the next thing, boom, there she was.
She's changing the world. She should have said, "I'm going to change the world. That's what I'm going to do." Because that's what she's doing. She's changing the face of women in sport in our country. She's inspiring. She's wonderful on every level. Where she's inspired me, and through that, I've been able to write inspirationally about these different people in the paper and through the Tribune and all these other platforms.
Tell me, is the Indian Professional League coming back to South Africa?
I don't know.
That's what I read somewhere.
No.
Saying that next year the tournament might be held in South Africa.
I'm going to make the offer of trying to get on the phone and speaking to you directly.
Yes,
so
maybe you should check on it. There's something to look forward to.
Yeah, and I think that this
is amazing. You use sport and you use education and journalism to create an energy to move forward.
Absolutely.
To light up the world. That is an amazing contribution you made.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that recognition and the compliment. And I really hope that if there's people out there, and especially young people, my biggest message tonight to all the young people, because I'm not sure how much more time we have, stay positive and stay strong. I didn't come from the best background. I didn't have as much as I would have liked to have had in my childhood. If anything, I didn't have the best childhood, just to put it mildly. But, at the end of the day, if you really want something and you see an opportunity and it's a positive thing, please, I'm not saying opportunity for bad things. Go out there and try your best and give it your best, because who and what you are, and I always leave people with this, who and what you are now is not who and what you will be tomorrow. And that works both ways. You could be really rich and really amazing and really on top of the world, and you could fall like a house of cards tomorrow. So be careful what you say to people. Be respectful and treat every human being with dignity. Because it is those people as well who didn't have, that come up in life, that remember, young people remember, young children remember, and they might not return the kindness that, later on in life. So
okay, so you got your positive ending.
Thank you, I appreciate that so much.
Okay, take care. May Allah bless and guide you.
Thank
May
you.
Allah protect you. May every step you take be lighter.
Shukriya.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, there we are.
Messages for you guys.
Pardon?